Hello, welcome to the Everton Daily Live Extra. We are here.
Sorry, we're 2 minutes late.
It's fine. It's fine.
That was a good first take, though.
That was a good first take, but we shouldn't even reference it, so people who watch it later, not live, would have no idea what happened
Reference
in that.
what?
Well, there you go. But what I want to reference, Jack, is because you're not aware of this, is Ned is the one and only person to buy ons off DHgate.
Yeah.
And I just want your opinion on them. There's no judgment. I just want your opinion on them.
You have realised?
No, but, I do have quite bad eyesight and just, general
How
lack
often
of
do you
awareness.
How often do you look at a man's shoes?
Well, that's it. I think from a distance, they look okay. It's only once you focus on the details and I'm thinking, I'm looking at that sole and...
See, Jack won't. Again, you've just done something really good there. And I applaud you for that. But I don't think Jack will get that reference.
He will.
Say it again.
How often do you look at a man's shoes?
I didn't get it.
Shawshank Redemption.
You've seen Shawshank Redemption.
I haven't.
He hasn't seen anything.
You'd like that, Jack,
he hasn't seen anything. There's no reference points for what he likes or what he doesn't like because he doesn't watch anything.
It's the reason why it's one of the greatest films of all time, because it's got probably like a 9-to-1 ratio of people watching it and liking it. So there's a higher chance you like it.
It is a very good film.
How come your socks are so high, Ned?
I know.
Have you got shin pads under them?
I've got cold legs.
Wear trousers then? Wear trousers?
I'm not really. I've just got.
Oh my god, it's incredible stuff. Incredible stuff.
But the reason I buy them is because I get footy kits off DHgate for like
Listen,
and they're really good quality. I thought, do you know what? The ons are like 20 quid.
Yeah. There's
I'll buy some.
There's no
judgment.
judgments.
Like.
Roger Federer is going mental, but there's no judgments in here.
I have got actual proper ons.
Oh, so that makes it all right then. So
it's not like.
So that's hang on. That's like saying, sorry, Jack. Let me just say, that's like saying it's all right to rob this bank because I've got a bank account.
We haven't robbed anyone,
isn't it?
No, to be fair, he's not robbed anyone.
No, but
he's robbed himself.
Whoa! Hang on.
I'm giving young children a living.
Those sayings are fake. Therefore, he is stealing from ons.
I think they'll be all right.
No, because
it's more like
it's a slippery slope.
I was having
it's more like if Elon Musk drops a $5 and you pick it up and don't give it back to him.
It's a slippery slope.
All these like fake Chinese or Turkish stuff now. See, like Ray-Bans. If I was like Ray-Bans, I'd just go, what's the point in bloody like making them? Let's just get a big load off DHgate and sell them on, and people will never know.
And
then there is a shop in town that allegedly may have done that.
Sheen, who's that like?
No, like a much higher end.
Oh, okay. No, there was a shop in town open at the weekend, wasn't that? Was the which had queues out the door for like hours and hours and hours.
This Everton shop's a weird shit, I believe.
And literally all that company does is steal.
Oh yeah,
off people and then make bad copies of it. Anyway, we digress. What a start to the show, as always. Everton did win a game yesterday, a game of football. It was a good time was had by all, but obviously the game has been marred in controversy. Jack, we will do the final word. Why does Basic say keep on saying OBS has crashed? You're supposed to be the moderator, and you are massively spamming our anyway. A game that on the outside looked like a really good win. In fact, I walked out after the game, did my instant match reaction, and said that I believed that Ashley Young had a good game. And then I was basically swamped by comments saying, no, he didn't. He was a liability and all this and all the other. Whereas at the game, genuinely, the handball was a bit like, oh yeah. But the other two, the first one, everyone just was like, he dived and there's no contact.
Very little contact.
And the second one, because where I'm sitting and other people might tell me different from where I'm sitting, it looked like Ashley Young had won the ball. And therefore, if he had won the ball from where I'm sitting, then it's a great tackle. Therefore, vis-a-vis, he had a decent game.
In the ground, your perception of it.
Of course.
Difference, isn't it?
Of course it is.
For slow-mo replays.
I don't get Everton aren't putting all those replays on the screen to show why it may be a penalty, are they?
No.
So it was a very strange game of football to come out and hear all that controversy. Literally, the first I heard of it was 4 Forest fans standing in Stanley Park all around the phone going, they put a statement out. They didn't quite talk like that, but they put a statement out. That's how they sort of talk.
No, that's
how did they talk then?
So put statement out.
They're not. Do you know where Nottingham is?
Yeah, like
it's in the Midlands.
Where Jake Bugg's from?
So therefore then, Jake Bugg, who's been all around the world and probably lived in London for 20 years.
They put a statement out.
No, they don't talk like that, mate. They're from the Midlands. They're Brummie. They're part Brummies. They're part Brummie, part Stoke. Basically, so take a little
from the rich and give
take a little bit of Peaky Blinders, add in a little bit of Robbie Williams, and you get Nottingham Forest.
Put a statement out.
No, they do not. No, just stop.
Can I just say, sorry, you've massively upsold the city of Nottingham there. Bit of Peaky Blinders, bit of Robbie Williams. You've made it. I know, but you've painted a picture.
Number one, I don't know anyone else from Stoke, and number two,
Peter Crouch.
I don't know anyone from Preston.
I'm just saying,
what the hell is going on?
I like what you've drawn from. You painted a nice image there.
I have.
But strange one, just purely in regards to Ashley Young, because he's had a good game and he's not being penalised for the things he has sort of done wrong. So on the face of it, and statistically, he has had a good game.
Yeah, I thought he was sound.
Going from it from the viewpoint of he could have gave away 2 penalties there. Normally, a player who gives away 2 penalties in a game isn't considered to, be in great game territory.
Yeah.
So it's a weird space, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
On one hand, you do have to acknowledge that, okay, maybe they were unlucky to not get these penalties, and therefore that's part of his performance because he's committed those offences.
Yeah.
On the face of it, and from Ashley Young's perspective, it's, well, they weren't penalties, the referee didn't give them, and we won 2-0.
Well, he's put a social media post out today, hasn't he? Just with Justin Timberlake's Crimea River.
Which is, we played Liverpool on Wednesday. So
I don't know of one I'm starting against Liverpool, I must admit, with that.
But he's going to be.
I don't know. I think he might bring Ben Godfrey back for that one. Just for the pace. I think the manager's surely got to understand that. Pace is basically Ashley Young's kryptonite. Also, kryptonite might be Ashley Young's kryptonite, depending on where he's from. So we'll do a lot of more of this in the final word. But for you, yesterday, just what do you think they were then? Like,
first one, I thought there weren't enough contact in it. No. He's gone down light, and the way the ball's moving as well, he didn't have full control of it. He's gone down light. Wasn't exactly a goal scored, an opportunity.
Yeah.
I know that's not the criteria on what penalties are judged on, but I do think it's something you do need to factor in from a fan's perspective. Handball, I thought he was fortunate to get away with. I think obviously it's accidental, but his arm's away from his body. Yeah. The rule is if it has to be within your body, it's not. So I do think we've gotten a little bit lucky there. And the Hudson-Odoi one as well, I can see the argument. I think he probably does get a little bit of the ball, but I think he gets the man first.
Yeah, I don't think the first one's a penalty. I watched it in real time, seen it, and I just thought the lads just dived. The second one, I don't think it should be a penalty, the handball. I think, said this before, like, this unnatural position nonsense is rubbish. It doesn't take into account, anything of like body shape, running style.
It's a very cut and dry approach to a much wider issue, isn't it?
If you stick your hand out like that and it hits you, then I understand. But his arms are moving with his body as his body. So if you swing your body round, your arm is obviously going to follow, isn't it? That's just gravity essentially. So I could understand if they had give it, having watched it in the game in the match. I thought his arm was a lot closer to his body than it was, and again, that's just like speed of like seeing something really quick. The third one, I think, is a penalty because I do think he kicks the back of his foot, and he's on the wrong side. And once you're on the wrong side, I think, I don't. So I would say my sympathies would be there for the third one. I definitely do think it's a great ball by Gibbs White, splits the defensive line, and he is caught wrong side, and I do think that is a penalty, to be fair. The handball, yesterday I was like, that's definitely a penalty, but now I'm more of the thing of like, I was thinking it's definitely a penalty because you're thinking about it as like in terms of what they're given at the moment, and sometimes we trick ourselves into that. Sometimes we get conned into what's a foul and what isn't a foul by what's being given rather than what actually is a foul. Do you know what I mean?
It does go back to the rules though, doesn't it? And I'm with you. I don't agree with the handball rule, but within what they are at the moment and what teams are meant to be punished for, it is in line with that.
Sort of. I mean, I don't know if it is or not. I think because he's basically turning his body I think that's why it's not a penalty. If he'd just been standing there a la Michael Keane at the cop end, and he's literally, you're putting your hand out like for a bus, or Kurt Zuma at the park end, see, that's a penalty because your hand is already in that position because you're standing still. I think that's the difference. If you're standing still and your arms out, then you are making your body bigger. I think if you're moving, then you haven't got control of your arms, and all this you've got to be a penguin is nonsense. We can't be talking about that. So 50-50, isn't it, really? It's 50-50. But definitely the last one, I think, is a penalty. So, Forest do have my sympathies on that one, and we've had that ourselves this season. The statement is nonsense. We'll talk more about that on more than a game after we've done this video. The statement is absolutely nonsense that they've brought out. They had a really good opportunity to say something, and they made a mess of it. But listen, yes, I thought, other than like the first 10 minutes yesterday, I thought Everton were good value for the win. I thought that's the best way to describe it, I suppose, is that's us doing what we do well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and I think it's probably fair to say this is one of the better Everton performances in quite a while. I say that in regards to the bar being very low, not in regards to this was a brilliant, faultless performance. But I think back to even the Burnley win, I don't think we were particularly impressive that day. I think yesterday we showed just a lot more functionability as a team. We looked like we had a bit more of a plan, and this manager's said a lot over the last week. Some I agree with, some I think he needs to leave out a little bit. But one thing he seemed to wanted to make clear was that he was trying to give these players a kick up the arse. And he did come out and looked more motivated than they have done, or at least more organised and more ready for the occasion. I don't like always drawing back to motivation and who cares and who's got passion and who doesn't. But they look like a mentally stronger team yesterday than they have in recent weeks. Yeah. And they understood the importance of the game rather than feared it.
I think everyone got a kick. I think the manager got a kick up the arse this week, if I'm honest. He said in the aftermatch press conference that someone asked him about wearing a tracksuit rather than a suit. And he was just like, I wanted to be part of the group. And I felt like, and to be honest, I thought it was Ian Wone for an hour. Stan was like, why is Ian Wone standing out there so often? Because we're so used to him seeing him wearing a suit. But he was saying everyone needed something this week, and he had to be part of the group, and he had to change something. And fair play to him for that. Just that little thing of like everyone feeling like they're in together.
One group, one.
And I know he did a thing the other day saying, he wants to fight. That's fair play to him. No issue with that whatsoever. They're good words, I think, from your manager that you do. I think I've referenced it a few times. It's like you never get that relationship with Everton having, as fans. I don't think we've had that relationship with managers for a long time. And I'm not saying we're going to have it with this manager, but it's all right putting those words out there at times of like, the crowd are all this and the crowd are all that. That's great. That's what you'd expect. But sometimes you have to go the little extra bit and go, I need to put myself amongst all this. And I need to go like the little extra bit and show that I'm part of all this. And maybe the suit sort of pulls you out of it. And maybe throwing the Al Trackies on and, the Everton top shows that he's a little bit more in it.
Yeah, I mean, an outfit change completely in isolation isn't going to change anything, is it? But that combined with a lot of other things, the work that's maybe gone on over the last week and the honest truths that have been told to these players, maybe there's been a bit of back and forth where the players speak to the manager as well and say, well, we don't think this is working. I'm not in that room. I don't know what goes on. But, it looks like they came out of a difficult situation together after last week, and obviously the fans again stepping up, making that effort with all the displays in the ground and the flags, and again that's something that on its own might not change the result of a game, but it's as much as the fans can do. And then when you add that to everything else and the players coming out with a better mindset as well, it becomes a much more motivated team, which off the back of 6-0 hammering by Chelsea, coming off a result like that, yeah, of course, you've got to look at tactically, where did we go wrong, how did we allow this to happen, but you've also got the massive hangover of that defeat weighing over you, and the fear almost of what if this happens again. we know this can happen to us now, so that was embarrassing. I don't want to feel that again. Overcoming that's just as important as the tactical side of things and knowing how it happens.
Well, they had to react. Obviously, Monday night was embarrassing, and not only was it embarrassing, it's not the way we play. And as I said, I struggle to explain to anyone how Everton play. I said this the other day. I really do struggle. It's hard to. Me and John did a match preview, and I was like, if any Forest fans are watching, I can't explain to you how we go long and then we get the ball down and we just like pass it to whoever's next.
Dilly-dally.
Pass to whoever's next. So it's hard to explain. But as I said, on Monday night, we just went away from that. We tried to do something and it completely backfired. And I think the manager would have been embarrassed by that, because it was his tactics that actually led us down that into that strange situation. Whereas everyone who'd been to Chelsea so far has just got men behind the ball and made it difficult for them. We made it so easy. And I thought yesterday we just got back down to basics, and for most of the game, controlled it. The possession, they had a little bit more possession than we did. And we just did what we do well, and we scored 2 good goals. Gana Gay, his 1 in 50 strike. Fair play to him.
He cashed it in, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's it. Money in the bank. Just went down there with the briefcase and just went, get me in.
I think he needs to rack up like you say 50 long range efforts, and that he just needs, and then it's redeem on target effort, and then he's like, right, I've got a moment for this one. I'm going to use it. I used this against Forest in a few weeks of my quota now, so I can redeem this shot, and I'm going to use it when it counts. But I thought the entire midfield played a big part in the performance. I thought we moved the ball a little bit better than we have done in recent weeks. It was a little bit faster. A few more, clever touches and 1-2s. It wasn't anything close to revolutionary or, even really impressive, because every team in the league can and should be able to do this. But it's a level above what we've seen in recent weeks.
I think he's obviously decided that, whether we I think he's probably made his mind up on Onana now, and thinks that Andre Gomez is a more useful player for an hour, because he does like to get on the ball. And I think certainly in the last 2 home games and a little bit of Chelsea and generally, just in general, he likes to get on the ball, and as long as you manage him, he's not going to do anything amazing. He's not going to split defences in half, but I do think he creates passes maybe that other people don't create. Just that moving it from one side of the pitch to the other, but not going through 3 people to get there. And it does speed the play up just that little bit extra when he plays. So I thought he did quite well. But Steve P says on Toffee TV Premier, nobody's ready for this conversation. That Gana Gay is still easily our best player. I've been saying it all season. Really isn't a coincidence that we can't function when he's not playing. And I guarantee when he's gone next season, it'll massively show. And if the recruitment team is still here, we won't replace him. And the replacement certainly isn't James Garner. I can tell you that right now. I honestly don't understand how people don't rate him when he's glaringly obvious how good he is. It's like some people see things backwards when it comes to our players. Stay.
Well said, mate.
I am, that we are massive fans of Idrissa Gana Gay here. And somebody at Everton Football Club has got to be having a conversation to keep him at our club. And listen, if we have to do the negotiations, he'd have to take a pay cut, don't get me wrong. But someone needs to sit down with him and see where we can, if there's a possibility of where we meet, because you're absolutely right. He runs our midfield. It's so obvious. They've tried different things all season. I've said for a long time, and maybe not in this spell, but the last spell he had at Everton, I always thought he was shackled. When you watch him play for Senegal and the way he runs between the lines,
he's advanced.
He does advance the ball in the World Cup, the last World Cup. No, it's international football, but he was playing as a number 10.
He's basically their number 10, isn't he?
And he runs through the channels so well and through the lines, and you're like, I know he can't do that for us now. But when he does advance the ball well, and his goal yesterday, and listen, he's not a great shooter of the ball. We all know that, and we don't want him shooting all the time. But there is more to his game, and we've always played him as a defensive midfielder. And
at times, more of like a lone 6.
And having Onana has helped, and having Gomez has helped them as well, because he is someone who likes to go, and that's why he can't play. We got him wrong, and we got Alan wrong when we had Alan as well. Alan was exactly the same, a player who wants to go and press and harry, and you say no, play it as a number 6, and then suddenly you don't have a number 6, so you don't have a sitter, and that's where personally I think Onana's the right player for that position. But Gomez or Gana plays a similar position, James Gana. But I really do believe that someone has to be having that conversation. And listen, maybe they've had that conversation. And he's not willing to lower his wages because he can get better.
It's interesting.
Saudi or whatever. But I tell you what, I know. Listen, I can't speculate on his. He's got a young family. He's just had another child. Maybe they see it the right time to bring their kids up in a stabilised, stable place for a few years, and don't want that extra year. Maybe someone's saying, no, you can come here for 3 years, and they're like, that's a perfect thing for us. Whereas Everton be year by year by year. I don't know, but if they haven't had that conversation, I hope they have, because he will be a massive miss. You're absolutely right. Nobody is as good as him. No one's got his experience. No one's got his energy down the pitch. He sniffs danger all the time. He's got that sense for danger. And he'll be a massive loss. Certainly next year next year will be just as hard, if not harder, for Everton in the Premier League, because finances will still be tight. We're going to lose players on loan again, who are on loan, and the possibility that Onana and even Branthwaite could leave the club. It's going to need a rebuild, obviously. And sometimes you just need that little bit of experience, because he is one of the most experienced players. And we have, obviously, a collection of, some people might see it as a clique or whatever, but we have a collection of young international players where they'll see him as someone
to look up
exactly,
to, advice.
And that's always been the way while he's been at the club. And for me, we've got to be keeping hold of him. And listen, I know a lot of people, especially in the earlier part of the season, drop him, he gives the ball away, blah, blah, blah. His numbers are always fantastic. He gives the ball away a lot less than what people think. Even yesterday he gave the ball away a couple of times stupidly, but his overall game is so good.
I think the criticisms of him just show that sometimes people are more willing to notice things from certain players. Maybe it's, narratives get started and they spread pretty easily. And, if people criticise him for giving the ball away, they're not necessarily wrong, because he can do it, and sometimes he does it in some really frustrating ways. But this is one of the instances where you can use stats to go, okay, how often does he actually does this? And statistically, he doesn't do it that much. Technically, he got by in PSG's midfield just fine. Playing with Verratti and Mbappe and, some of the most technically gifted players in the world, Di Maria, he did fine over there.
Yeah.
People talk about the quality of the league or whatever. He's in the Champions League for them, having good performances, good games. And, yeah, it's wages, I understand that's an issue, but you'd imagine if he's going out and Onana's going out, at least one midfielder's coming in.
Yeah.
They might be on less money than Gay, but it's not going to be that much less to the point where you'd take a significantly worse player, because he is important.
Well, we've got to be careful though, haven't we? Because if Onana does leave and Gana Gay leaves, then that leaves us. Gomez will be leaving as well. Let's not forget. That's a whole midfield you've got to rebuild, and that's a lot of pressure. That is a lot of pressure. And seeing a few people in the comments saying Barkley, I'd have no problem bringing Ross Barkley back. Absolutely none. I know people see it different. People see it different ways. I know a lot of people obviously feel betrayed and will always feel betrayed. But there's always two sides of the story, isn't there? And we've learned with footballers that there's always two sides of the story. And footballers normally take the brunt of the criticism. They're like the sin eaters of they take, the clubs come out of it clean. But we know from our club through the years that stories have come out about all players, whether it be Wayne Rooney, whether it be Gary Speed, whether it be Francis Jeffers even, Michael Ball. Players have come out, Don Hutchinson, lots of players have come out afterwards, and when Andrei Kanchelskis sat on the couch in here and told us he never wanted to leave, but Everton needed the money, players will come out and say afterwards and go, I didn't want to go. And Ross Barkley, at the time, it looked really bad. But, Baz often says about how Koeman basically said he's not getting a contract till I feel like he deserves one. And Ross Barkley basically called his bluff and went, well, if I'm not getting a contract, then I'll go elsewhere. And that's the sad reality. I think, listen, we all hold grudges. Everyone holds grudges. I understand that. I'd have no problem bringing Ross Barkley. I think we are very, very tribal in this country. And yet in other countries where football is seen as, I often cite Italy where, Jesus, some of the stuff that goes on with their ultras and that, and yet they've got no problem lots of times. They've got no problem signing players. It's normally the players they have murder with, not the players who leave or come from somewhere else.
Let me tell you about Barkley though, because even if you're completely right in what you're saying, there could be a lot more than what the narrative we are told is what's going on. But let's say he was in the wrong. Let's say it was his fault, and let's say he did mistreat the club. And a lot of people still hold grudges against him in the fan base. I loved Barkley growing up as a kid because I was young going the game with my dad, and Barkley's that kid in the academy who's living your dream. He's playing for his boyhood club, and that. And I loved Barkley. He was always one of my favourites. And he goes and year after year in the fan base we have the Ross Barkley conversation, and my response is always no. We don't need him. He treated us like this, and B, more importantly, I don't think he's good enough. The second point has been absolutely proven wrong now because he's shown this season that he's more than good enough.
Maturity, that.
I think with the situation we're in as a club, and we don't have much to spend, and you've got a player we can potentially bring in who we know is going to bring a certain level of quality to this squad. We say, let bygones be bygones. That's my stand. And if you feel different, I understand. I get that. But my position is I don't really care what's gone on in the past because the now is so important. And we could have a lot more to be unhappy about if we don't get this season right first, but also next season right as well. And personally, I think bringing in Barkley could be a big step in the right direction of, getting across next season as well.
Listen, and he's, he can play different positions, and I do think James Gana, not a first, but I do think James Gana can take up the number 6 role and be an effective player in there because he really is a number 6, and he's at that position. He's been playing we've been playing almost with 2 at 6s this season at times, and it doesn't really help us going forward, but it does help the stability. Someone just said there, would you take Gordon back, Aaron? I have no feelings whatsoever to Gordon. Really don't. I really don't. I have no feelings whatsoever. He is someone who's got high ambitions, and we were prepared to sell him, and he was prepared to go. And I have got honestly, I've got no issue. I've seen it all in football now. I've seen it all. I've been it. When Wayne Rooney left, and I was like Jack's age, Ned's age, he walked on water for me. Just again, like you just said, seeing a kid who basically is living your dream, and also the best player in the world at the time for me anyway. That Euros, everyone just went, what is this? And he played for Everton, and this was all before like social media and everything, so he didn't get bogged down in all those arguments and everything. It was, and that broke my heart. Him leaving, it really did. It broke my heart. So since then, players come and go. The only other one I've ever been angry about leaving, really, and I've said this before, is Jolie and Lescott, because I really felt like at that time we were like that close. We were that close to something special. And then
the way he checked out,
and then he went, and it didn't all fall to bits as such. We bought this stand in, but it was almost an admission when we sold Lescott. It was an admission that City were coming, and they could take our players off us. And then you were like, well, who's going to be next? And who's going to be next? And he did check out, and it was more angry at the whole situation. We were that close, and yet to being a really good side, and then you knew coming over the show, City were coming, and they were going to take all the best. They were going to take all the best players. Other players have left. Lukaku's left, and when Lukaku left, it didn't really bother me at all. It was like
we were all resigned to. Didn't we?
And we knew when he didn't sign. I remember me and Baz being in here, and he didn't sign the contract, and we were just like, he hasn't signed it. He's literally walked out without signing. It was like, well, it's done, then, isn't it? And again, that was like, it hurt at that moment, but when he actually left, it was like, we knew, you know what's going to happen, don't
We
you?
were so caught up in all the spends and that we thought we were going to be better off. But I don't think Gordon did anything wrong past being a bit irritating. To be honest, I don't think that makes him a bad person.
No.
And I always say about that transfer, for the player he was at Everton, that money was good for us. Yeah, he's flying now, but the circumstances with him and Everton, because he was being a bit irritating and the fans had turned on him and he weren't performing great. He was never going to be that player at Everton. So, you know, Newcastle, for the player they've got, good value for them.
No.
For the player we got rid of, good value for us.
Andy Gordon is not, at that age, isn't the player you wanted in the trenches as such, because he's a player and you see it now. He's so good. He's so good. He wants to play football. He wants to be on the front foot. He wants to be attacking people. He wants to be, you know, in the box, and he's a brilliant player. And I don't know how long he'll be at Newcastle. Who knows? I mean, people are talking about all these other players leaving Newcastle. If I'm like, I don't know, if I'm an Arsenal, I'm looking at Andy Gordon going, God, he could really add something to us.
Remember when Chelsea wanted him to be a wing back, allegedly, when they were first linked to him?
Yeah. No,
What
it's
a time in our lives that was.
No, but yeah, Everton have got a big. I've got a because Gomez. There's no way I can see Everton offering Gomez a contract. No. Just can't see it happening. And
it's meaner again, isn't it? It's nice one. Thanks for the run in, but see you later.
Yeah, because can't see it. Oh, and the irony is, this is his. You know, he actually looks like he's fit. I mean, he's slow as hell, but he actually looks fit. But if you want to build and you want to build going forward, you need to bring in young players, and you need to bring young players in who've got pace, a little bit of pace, and maybe sometimes losing loads of players all at once can be, or knowing you're going to lose all, because obviously the work needs to be getting done now to get these players in, can be the incentive to say we need to rebuild our midfield.
Rip up the floorboards.
Look at Liverpool last summer. Suddenly they've got a problem. They've got a problem where two of their players, who they probably didn't want to lose, suddenly attracting attention for like huge amount of money. And it was like, right, we need to do something right now. And they rebuilt their midfield. It's not rebuilt properly because they still need a number 6. But
one of the fellas they brought in's arguably been their best player this year. So.
Exactly. And people are like, they've gone out. It's forced them to bring in 2 players who the fans all love. And maybe they wouldn't have done that this summer, but they've been forced to, and it's worked out really well. Maybe Everton are being forced into a position that they have to look at players that maybe they would have gone, oh, I'm not sure about you. And it's like, no, we have to do it this time.
The difficult thing for us, though, is, you know, if we're looking for a trade-off in terms of Gana leaving, and it's, okay, we need to bring in someone else who's on lower wages. Let's say we go and get Josh Brownhill from Burnley, because that seems like a plausible transfer, and we paid very little or nothing for him, and he comes in and he's on 60 grand a week, which is obviously less than what Gay's on, but it's not an insignificant amount either. At what point do you prioritise quality with your transfers? Because I get it, we're shopping in the bargain bin, but at what point are you just stripping all the quality away from your squads for the point of you're still spending? If we have to, you know, pay a transfer fee and he's still on 60 grand a week, we're still spending, and just for far less quality.
Yeah.
And that's where we do need to be careful. Well,
that's why we'll look for like we'll look for frees and loans and stuff, won't we? You know, you'd imagine that they'll go for someone like Josh Brownhill, because he is free. The manager knows him, and he'll go for him. And that is actually one of the main concerns that people have about having Sean Dyche as manager, is that we will be looking at those players, but they're the kind of players we will be looking at. But listen, that's for it. We'll come into that. Gana was excellent yesterday. Dwight McNeil, second goal, superb. It felt like It felt like all game, and even in the last few home games, we've been trying to tee him up for that goal, like trying to get him more and more into central positions. And you could see the way Decore giving the ball back. It's like, we're teeing you up to have one of these,
please.
Yeah, and he hits it sweet. Just comes off the post, goes in, and you know, it caps it off for us. And the lad hasn't been brilliant this season. He works hard. I say it all the time. He works hard. He does a job. Manager loves him, obviously. And when you have, listen, we haven't got, it's, say it all the time, it's about the players you've got. You can't invent new players to come and play for you. Danjuma's not being available. And he's got his goal. What's that? His third of the season, and you'd like him to be at least double that. But it was a big goal for us and really important.
No, and absolutely, he's not performed to a brilliant standard this year. I think that's fair to say, regardless of how hard he works. But he is a player who this time last year was doing big things for us and was a big reason we survived. And the first 3 quarters of this season can be largely not forgotten, but looked over if he can perform to that standard for the rest of this season that he did at the same stage last year. Because it was the same last year. He weren't great for a large part of the season, but he comes in, he performs at the tail end, plays a large part in us staying up. And, we did end last season with a lot of goodwill. That's gone away over the course of this year, but maybe this will just be his finger, Everton. Maybe it'll be large run of games of outperforming, but when it matters towards the end, he'll come up with some goals, and that'll be enough to get by in this team and for us to get by in this league. And of course we can upgrade in the future, or in theory we can upgrade if the money's there, but right now we can't, especially mid-season while the window's not open. So he's a player who's shown that he can on occasion perform to this standard. That for us is the best we've got, so we need that from him, and he did well yesterday, and I just hope it continues.
Yeah, that's it. Just get him into those areas so he can just get the shot off. And again, just to get us the points we need. We need right now, technically, I think we need 7 points. Like, that's an absolute. We would be safe, obviously, if the points hadn't been taken off us. We would be mathematically safe. But I think we need 7 more points, and obviously that's based on Luton winning every game. And obviously every time they don't win, then and every time we do get points, that'll go down. So it's 7 mathematically. I think it's more like, for us now, we got to win this. It could be done by the weekend if we were to get 4 points this week and Luton were to lose at Wolves. It'd be done. We'd be safe. But obviously that's not how life goes. We know that. But obviously if we can start chipping that away, so maybe by the time we play Luton, it could be done. I don't think no one wants it. Obviously, if it has to be done against Sheffield United, fine. But you'd rather it be done just before that, just so everyone can relax a little bit.
The earlier the better, and no disrespect to Luton, but one of their biggest chances is it depends on how poor Everton are.
Yeah.
It does, because we're above them, and if they beat us at the weekend, that's massive. Not
weekend
just
after.
You know what I mean. But if they beat us, it's massively significant, not just in the case of, they've gained points on us, but it's also a massive chance for them, because then they smell blood.
Yeah.
If we beat them and we put them down, not only have we got the gap, but we've extended our position over them, and we've denied them a chance to gain from us. And, we've put them down, and it puts them in a position where they're only focused on Forest. Then.
You'd like to think that if we got anything at Luton, that would be it. That would be done. And I know Burnley are only a couple of points behind them, but they'll be looking at Forest.
They've got tough games, Burnley as well.
Yeah, I think they play Forest last game of the season, don't they?
Arsenal and
Chelsea. So, but I'm not. But certainly Luton. I think you'd imagine if we, as long as we went there and didn't get beat, then you'd think it was probably all over. But
don't forget though, they want us to win. Apparently,
they want us to win, and obviously we'll talk more about that on MTAG, because we don't want to get bogged down in that side of things. We want to stay with the Everton side of things, but regard more than anything else. Darren says Young cannot play against Liverpool, will be destroyed. Yeah, fair enough. Jez says, afternoon, what a strange feeling this is today. The right time to refer to them as not Forest, because it seems like such a shortcut instead of to instant piss boiling. I just read the article in Independent that puts it into perspective. I'm sort of glad we've not ended up like the bad whingers they sound like. I suppose this is what happens when you have a lunatic billionaire actually goes to the game and cares too much. Yeah, that's what happens. You've got a lunatic who actually is fully invested in a football club. It made me laugh. I was listening to the clip. I was listening to the clip about Gary Neville done on Sky News, Sky Sports, and they were like, the guy said, you run a football club. Does this get signed off at the top, or is this like from the social media team? It's like, not a chance. The social media team, like the owner literally has the login, doesn't he?
No, or it's a case of there's some poor soul, probably around my age, who's like the admin for the Twitter account, probably not paid that great for for the money that gets paid out of football clubs, and that large and in charge individual who runs Forest comes over and you're going to put this tweet out, and tells him word by word, and he's going, tell him he's a Luton fan as well. I think it just shows.
Well, that's a narrative, though, that they'd started last week. There was a narrative last week and this is sometimes what happens. Narratives get started because they understand, and it's almost like they understand what the end point is going to be. If you can see something coming in the future, put a narrative in there so you can go, see, we told you this was going to happen. Trump did it for the last election. You create a narrative so that you can go back and see, we told you this was going to happen. Therefore, it is wrong. Therefore, something is going on.
But because this has gone so big, now if Everton do stay up and let's say Forest do go down, because this has gone so big, a lot of the talk from people will be, Everton stayed up when it had that Luton fan match fixed against them.
Yeah.
There'll be zero acknowledgement of the fact that we'd be safe already.
Forgetting we've had 8 points,
point deduction or the horrendous decisions we've had to put up with. But, know, narratives are a strong thing, and there'll be people at Forest or Forest fans who feel that they've got what they wanted from this and don't feel embarrassed by that.
Let me just say something, though, about the Forest fans who were at the game yesterday. What is fucking wrong with you people? Like, you did this at the home game. What is wrong with you people? Like, you come from a little city that really has no features to it whatsoever than maybe a half-fictional fella who run round with a pair of tights in a forest. Like, what is wrong with you people? Like, the bad guy in that story, by the way, is the Sheriff of Nottingham. Like, Robin Hood could be from anywhere. Sheffield, Loxley's in Sheffield, isn't he?
Yeah, he might have got the bus down.
Yeah, he might got the bus down. The bad guy is from Nottingham. This poverty chanting, who the fuck do you think you are? Honestly, who do you think you are? You got told yesterday. My 71-year-old father was giving history lessons out to kids yesterday, trying to understand what a scab was to kids in my row. Because he remembers, he was screaming at them, you could have brought Thatcher down, but you shit out and all this. My dad shouting, the kids are like, what's the old man talking about? But Dad was literally shouting at clouds yesterday.
You know what
I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I know a couple of Forest fans and they're sound as hell, and it's all about the love of the game and the club and the fans and all this. And yet these dickheads, and we heard them in the last game when they were calling us cheats and they were talking about poverty in the city and feed the Scousers and all this kind of thing. Who do you think you are? Honest to God, it's not like you're from Chelsea. It's not like you all live in Belgravia. Didn't Nottingham's council go bust? Like, who do you think you are? Honestly, you're nothing. You're a nothing town. I have respect for Forest as a club because you have won 2 European Cups and that's unbelievable. Brian Clough did rise as out of nothing. But who do you think you are? Coming to a club like Everton with working class people, like people in Nottingham, and singing stuff like that. By the way, when our player was knocked out unconscious on the floor and they're singing all these songs. Honestly, it's embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. I find it all ridiculous.
You know what it is, though? Again, it's narratives. It's the idea of, I'm told that I must hate Scousers, so therefore I hate Scousers. And this idea of, I don't know if either it's just absolute stupidity and lack of awareness, because like you say, the city of Nottingham's been through its own financial struggles in the last year. And I don't say that to have a go. I just say that as an observation.
Someone's badly run the gaff.
But either, it's a complete lack of awareness, or what do you think Liverpool actually is? Like... Because you've got similar levels of unemployment and financial hardship in Nottingham. So what do you think's actually going on here, other than the fact that you've been told to not like Scousers by social media and it's cool to do this? It doesn't even make me angry. It just makes me a bit like...
No, but the thing about it is Nottingham might be the nicest place in the world. Listen, you've had the Hooters before we did, so fair play. Do you know what I mean? Fair play to you. And I remember I used to hear the thing was like... The girl rate was like 3-1 to lads, so you should pick there for your university. I've got no beef with, but I just find it pathetic. I find it pathetic from all fans, but there's certain sets of fans that I understand. The Chelsea fans and Leicester fans, weirdly, even though Leicester is predominantly a Labour city.
But you know, if Chelsea or Fulham do it, it's still embarrassing, but it's there is a financial difference between those areas where there's a difference there.
Yeah. Do you know what, right? No, when people say, and someone just said it in the
doesn't
comment,
make it any less
it's just
embarrassing.
words, don't be offended. It's not, though. It's not just words. It isn't words. It's songs that get sung at games. You know, whether you're chanting about poverty, whether you're chanting about people who've died, none of it's acceptable. I personally don't accept that it's just words or it's just bants. It's not. It's not, because it hurts people. It genuinely hurts people. People go to match and they give everything to go to match. They really do. Everything. And there'll be people in the Forest End who
do the same.
Exactly. And there'll be fan bases up and down the country who do the same. This idea that words are just, it doesn't matter. It does matter. It genuinely does matter.
You're right in what you're saying, but I understand why people might take that stance, because the type of people who say this, who do these chants, there's no talking to them, there's no educating them, you're not going to change them, and I understand why people might take a stance of, I'm just not going to give them the reaction they want, because it's like an angry, screaming and crying 5-year-old, like kicking and screaming because they want to be fed or they want attention, or because you don't look at them for 10 seconds, so they need attention. So I understand people not wanting to give the baby
the problem is, though, it's getting worse and worse all the time, and it's pathetic. No, because what it is right, and this is what annoys me, is what it is it's divide and conquer again. That's what it is, and I'm not going to get political, but it is. That's what it is. It's people getting into your head saying those people over there are the ones you should be having a go at, not us. It's divide and conquer, and it's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. So there you go. Just before we finish, one little story that has come out in the last hour or so from Bloomberg, who have been following the 777 situation. They've put something out just an hour ago. Everton's main financial advisor, Deloitte, is scrambling, good word, to find new backers to save a takeover of the struggling club by US investment firm 777, amid fears that the deal could collapse, according to people familiar with the matter. Deloitte has been seeking fresh funding from sports-focused investors and lenders to get 777's deal over the line. The people said asking not to be identified because the information is private. The current preference is to attract a partner for 777 instead of getting an entirely different bidder who would need to go through the whole process from scratch, including clearance from the Premier League. One of the people said the club isn't currently seeking rival bids because it is bound by an agreement with 777, though the situation could change, the person said. So that's another layer. Listen, I don't know how true it is. I honestly have no... I'll speak to John, try and get some kind of, see if I can get anything out of him. But
he knows all the finance talk, doesn't he?
Yeah, but it needs to just get sorted, doesn't it? I know last week we spoke about Blue Owl investment coming in to say help them, but I don't think they were interested. But it does certainly seem like, and that might just be the same story, basically rehashed for all we know. But
it could absolutely and likely be an absolute load of nothing. But it's not good news.
But what we do need is, though, that says, we need a situation where it isn't started from scratch, because we'll be in limbo for a whole summer, and we can't be in limbo for a whole summer because we have to buy footballers. We have to get this sorted so we can get everything in place to move forward, because we've been in limbo for months and months and months, and no one at the football club wants to acknowledge it. They just don't, because everybody is working like they work for 777. It's not like they work for Macheri. They work for 777 because they pay them at the end of the day. They're their PR masters, essentially, because they're the people who'll be taking over. But we need something to happen, because it's just getting bogged down again in nonsense, and here we are again. And it's dead easy to just go, by the way. And I've heard my feelings on 777. But the main concern is right now is if someone comes in and they have to start from zero. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying let's just jump into bed with these because we need players. But we've got to that situation where it's April heading towards May very, very quickly, heading towards the end of the season, heading towards a situation where we have to start buying players, where we will be losing players, of course, and we need to get it sorted.
But on the edge, aren't we? And you know, if we 777 don't come in, we're going to have people asking for money back, people looking for money that's not there. The club's going to need to be spending money that it doesn't have if it wants to get the jump on this transfer window. That's not pro 777. That's pro
reality.
We need ownership.
Yeah, that's pro reality. It is, because we are so entrenched.
And everybody should be pro reality.
Oh, absolutely.
Unless you're Ryan Garcia, apparently it seems to work. Gave him superpowers.
Who's Ryan Garcia?
Are you not familiar?
No. Educate me.
Boxer.
Okay.
Relatively young lad. He's had like quite a big reputation for years, but he's never won a belt. At the weekend, he had a fight with a lad called Devin Haney, who's like 32-0, like pound for pound, top 5 in the world. So this Garcia's already the underdog. In the lead up, he goes full like QAnon conspiracy, like the world is run by elites who have tried to kidnap me and make me do satanic rituals. Came in 4 pounds overweight, which in boxing's a massive amount.
Yeah.
Massive underdog, but he's gone off the rails. Everyone thinks he's going to get smoked in the first round by like, pound for pound number 1, and he beats him.
Fair play.
I thought you'd know all about this.
I'm not interested in anything, mate. I don't care about other sports.
It's current events.
No,
though.
it's not though, mate. I couldn't care less about other sports. I used to like UFC, but that's when I was on the taxis and I used to get in just as it started. I couldn't care less about anything else now, mate. I like films and I like PlayStations. That's me, mate. And the occasional good podcast. Other sports, I've got no interest in because it's just another way to get your heart broken.
Saints won 54-0 on Friday.
I know, mate. I know, against Hull. See that? Current events.
Okay.
See that? I know that.
Hull are absolutely
that's so I can have a
garbage,
conversation with Ned.
Hull are absolutely garbage, so...
There you go, mate. I'm made up for you, mate.
Why is Hull's rugby team called Hull Football Club?
They've got Hull
2.
KR, who are much better.
They've got 2.
Hull.
But why are they called Football Club if they're a rugby team?
Because a lot of rugby teams are called Football Club.
Yeah, but why?
Because that's
It's like footy.
it's mad, and it's
Like
just the way they do
Australian.
it. It's just the way they do it.
In NRL, they call it footy.
But it's just, who cares?
Have a game.
No one cares about them, do they? But at the end of the day,
real sport.
but at the end of I'm not interested in. Generally not interested. I've give up on other sports. They're just rubbish. I like films. I went to watch Civil War on Saturday. It was boss.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was boss, mate. Boss. It was boss. Someone says, Peb, were you my cab driver for Creamfields? Maybe I was, mate. Maybe tell me what kind of car I was driving, and we can, because I'm not going to tell you.
And
Kevin Murphy said Peds to watching Barbie. I love Barbie. Have you watched Barbie
I've
yet?
watched Barbie, yeah.
You like it?
Barbie ages ago. I liked it, yeah.
It's good, isn't it?
It was just good, harmless
It's a good
fun.
film, isn't it? Good, harmless fun. It had a good message for girls. And at the end of the day, you can't sit there as a lad going, this is terrible. I mean, what they were saying was spot on. Lads are pretty much bad knobheads.
I mean, besides that, it had just a few good musical numbers
Yeah,
as
it did,
well.
didn't it?
Like,
Dua Lipa's in it. And
Yeah.
Margot Robbie's in it.
John Cena.
John Cena's in it.
And you know what? I was watching this thinking, you know what? I am just Ken.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
You
took
are
something
literally
from
the...
it.
Yeah. And when he's done his little number at the Oscars, it was dead funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair play to him.
And I seen Oppenheimer the week before as well. So I watched both of them. You've watched Oppenheimer, haven't you?
No, I've
Yeah,
not. I'm
exactly.
going to watch it, though, because I do want to watch
I
that.
put it on when I was on holiday
you're
last
just-
week.
You're the wrong
And
demographic.
10 minutes, so I stuff this. I want to watch Wizards and put Harry Potter on.
I want to watch Wizards.
But he basically... No, I didn't have a black cab.
I wouldn't ever.
Oppenheimer basically was a wizard, though. He
Oh, I wanna watch,
invented a nuclear
I
bomb.
wanted to watch like Wizards with long beards and wands.
Okay, fair play to you. Time and place kind of stuff. I wanted to watch on Saturday. I wanted to, at 5, 6 o'clock. I wanted to watch a film about basically a civil war happening in America, and I really enjoyed it. So there you go.
I think it might have been cancelled, but like with COVID or whatever, but a couple of years ago, there was a Benedict Cumberbatch film meant to be coming out about a wizard
Okay.
who fights Nazis in World War II. And it was like they made like an AI bot like sit and watch every Benedict Cumberbatch film.
Page,
You know,
innit?
he's done like so many war films, and obviously Doctor
I see,
Strange
yeah.
as well. So it just, the whole thing felt like a big inside joke, but then I don't think it ever came out
You know, in the other, the Wizarding World,
of Harry Potter.
isn't like the third? Aren't they fighting Nazis in the third one, basically?
No,
I
the
haven't
third
seen it.
one's Prisoner of Azkaban, where I won't spoil it for anyone who's not seen it, but that's where the best character gets introduced, and he's a dog, he's not a Nazi. But you could argue the whole idea of like Voldemort's followers. It's meant to mirror like Nazi ideology because they've got standards of what makes a real wizard.
But in one of the films, they are in one of the wizarding the newer ones.
There's another.
They are.
Like
it is
Fantastic Beasts.
the third one is
there's
basically set in Nazi time, isn't it? And he's supposed to be the embodiment. We've gone off on one.
Grindelwald's like pure bloods in there.
James out of the Galaxy, mate.
Galaxy chocolate bar.
Tom says, Toffee from Nottingham here. Those fans not a fair reflection on our city. Totally embarrassed when he heard the fans at Everton games. It's baffling, mindless idiots. Well said, mate. And I wouldn't say they were they represent the city. Of course they don't.
No, it's such a weird thing because I've met lads from Nottingham before. I had a mate who went uni there. I've met some dead sound people from there. Same with people from Newcastle. Same with people from down south, all over the country. Footy just seems to bring out a group of people that don't seem to exist in real life. NPCs.
Yeah, NPC. We actually met one in America, me and Ned. No, it does. It brings out a weird thing within people where obviously it's, mob mentality sort of, get on the victim chanting thing and all that. Let's just have a look at some of your comments before we finish. Don't forget, we will be going over to MTAG. So if you want to stick with us, please do. And we will continue the footy chat over there. Maybe less wizarding chat, maybe less jag on chat. But listen, whatever.
Lots of FA Cup business. And,
whatever.
All the big news from over the weekends.
Jay Rackers says, go and watch my Tuesday topic for an East Midlands accent. Ned will have them. Jay, I've heard them, I think. Abigail says, Gana's always been class and loves the club. We need him around. No one does a job like in our team. I understand why we sold Sims, as there was a need for him to good personally and financially for us. Would have been good to put a buyback clause in. I'm asking the question rather than saying I want him back. He's done really well in this half of the season. No, he has done really well. Fair play. He has got his goal yesterday. Like any footballer, like anyone who does anything, except for Ned because he cocked up the sound. Being good at your job is time, doing it repetitively every single day. That's what makes you better at your job. If you don't play ever, then you'll never get better, or you don't do anything, you'll never get better at your job.
No, because he wouldn't have done any of this for Everton, but he's went to Coventry and he's had a great second half of the season.
He's terrible first half.
He's got that match experience playing every week.
Missed a sitter yesterday.
But he will miss a sitter though, because he's a young lad and he isn't like top shelf, is he? Do you know what I mean?
He's like a good season.
He's and we'll see what happens. He's always been a good finisher. No issue with that. He's always been lively around the box. Everton thought he could get good. Don't forget, we had a fire sale in the summer. Him and Cannon had to go, and we replaced them with Beto and Chimiti, who we basically got in the first year for nothing. And we'll have to pay for both of them.
And it'll be the same this year. We'll sell someone again to cover that. We're going to sell Onana to pay for the cost of Onana.
James W says, how long till the soles on the ons fall off? Well, that's the big question, isn't it?
You don't worry about that.
It's the glue. It's the glue, isn't it? It's not necessarily the fabric. It's the glue that you have to worry about.
In multiple ways as well. I'm worried about what that glue might do to Ned's psyche when it starts to become more apparent to his senses.
I worry when that glue starts coming away and floating up to his nose. That's when you've got to worry.
This glue's not necessarily better than the real-on's glue. Real or not, they're all made by...
They're not though, Ned. They're absolutely not. They're not, mate. They're not made in the...
Once you turn one, you get
there's this idea that all these things are made in the same factories. They're not. They have quality control. They won't have any kind of quality control. But
if you think the factory real-ons are made in is bad, imagine what the factory that makes the fake-ons is like.
Even better, because they're working harder to replicate.
They're working harder.
I'm sure they are working harder, but
these 4-year-olds who've got basically glue stuck on their hands for their lives.
The ones that are making the real ones.
I'm not sure they are.
What's your experience, mate? I worked in the Jag factory over the road.
When they're 7 with their CVs. So where have you worked since you were 3? Well, I worked in the Jag Ons factory, and that really inspired me to want to work in
you've only got 2 years of experience, but you're 9. What have you been doing? Shouldn't joke about it, really.
No, I shouldn't. Should you? It's modern. It's modern poverty, probably slavery, modern slavery, and here we are mocking it because Ned's got a pair of Ons on from there.
No, it's like in the McAra.
No, because you've paid for modern slavery. That's the difference.
Let's move on from this topic now.
I'm doing them, I'm helping them.
But you're not.
I am.
Because you're condemning them to more years of slavery. You're not, though. But that's slavery.
They need the work. It's
slavery.
China.
That's I watched the video last night. Do you ever watch a channel called It's Boss? Hang on. It's Boss, and I can't remember what it's called. Is it Yes? Is it Yes? What's it called? Yes Theory. You ever watched the videos by Yes Theory?
Oh, think back in the day a little bit,
they went to this place in basically in South America, and these people have to work in this mine, and they have to work 30 days for nothing, and then they get 1 day to work on their own to see if they can find gold.
Oh, so they get taught how to do it?
No, for 30 days you just have to do basically hard labour for someone else, and then they get 1 day where they can do it on their own.
And it's
you keep what gold you find. And these lads just went to this place because it was completely lawless place, and he filmed it all. It was just, they've bossed those videos. Peter Brown says Temu sponsors will be on a team top soon. Yeah, exactly. Ned aspires to that. Steve P says, Ned, I got a legit pair on ASOS for £60 on sale. You can't be that tight, surely. They aren't even that expensive.
You won't be getting Cloud Swift 3s for 60 quid when they're about 100.
But you haven't got a pair of Cloud Swift 3s, though.
Yeah, but you're not getting real ones for 60 quid.
But you haven't got a pair of real ones anyway.
Because I'm not paying 160 odd quid. If they were 60 quid, I'd just get some. I don't have 160 quid to spend.
Have you checked, I don't know, Depop or anything altered?
I don't want second-hand ones.
You don't want second-hand ones, but you're prepared to have fake ones.
Hang on, I've already got real ons, which I paid $180 for in America. I just wanted to know what the fake ones were like.
That's like saying, well, I've give this person a job, so actually there's nothing wrong with me giving this slave. Taking this slave on.
Let's get away from the slave talk. Just Ned, I'm not a brand snob. You do what you've got to do. You know what I mean. I just question your logic behind it. I feel like you could have spent a little bit more for second-hand ones, but you do you.
Yeah, I've already got real ones, so it's not like I wanted ons and I can't afford real ones. I've got real ones. I just wanted another pair. But
real ones.
I wanted to just try these ones for 20 quid, see what they're like, and compare them to me real ones.
Oh, so it's just so hang on. So really, it's
they're
just
as comfy as the
it's
real
just
ones.
science.
It's market research.
It
is market research.
So it's just science.
I'm testing if the £150 ones are really worth it.
Next season of The Apprentice, Lord Sugar's going to have them selling.
But you do understand. Hang on, sorry, but you do understand that they're actually running shoes.
Yeah, I know, but I don't run. I'm a lazy bitch.
So you can't. So you're not really testing them, are you? Because
no, I might run.
He's testing them to the same way he tests his other ones, though. To be fair, he's testing their suitability for Ned.
The only thing I've got so far with my real ones is peace of mind that they might be real.
Peace of mind.
Should we wrap this up?
And you never know; they might not even be real.
Glenn says, "Do you like snooker?"
No.
In YouTube short with Mark Goldbridge about Jordan Pickford. Before going to his thoughts on Pickford, he says that you are dressed as a snooker player. No, he's saying he's dressed as a snooker player. I was just wearing a t-shirt. That video should be out this week. There you go. Right, we are going to head over. If I haven't read your comments out, I apologise. I've read loads of comments out. We've
got a little bit off topic.
We've had a lot to talk about. We've had enough to talk about. And also, if I've read one of your comments out, there's no reason to read another one out because that would just be hogging the comments.
Don't be greedy.
Don't be greedy with your comments.
Really good comments.
And you know who I'm talking to, rude boy. You've had the comment read out.
To be fair, though, we do need the engagement. So
no, I'm not saying don't comment. I'm saying if you've had one read out, then I'm not going to go over and get another one, and that means someone else is not going to get a comment read out, is it? Do you know what I mean? One per person, I say. That's what I say.
Laying down the law.
P. Macker says, go compare, Ned. There you go. Right, we're going to head over. 2:15. We'll be doing more than a game. So stick around, go and get a drink, whatever. We'll carry this on. We'll carry the Forest chat on. Probably won't carry the on chat on, but who knows? Who knows?
We'll put a pin in that.
Who knows? You're acting very suspicious.
No, I just
I'm not putting
know
a pin in
about
that,
the YouTube guidelines, and I just don't want to tread on it.
Yeah, we have to go to Wolverine and Deadpool trailer just dropped. See you in
bye.
10 minutes. 10 minutes.